Big talk too. Yeah, hello, we are live. Can you hear us? Yes, you can hear us and our drums in the background. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I don't know what happened, but I just restarted the PC and apparently there were some updates, so maybe that was causing it. Normally it breaks more than it fixes, so it's a good, yeah, you click the new messages that popped up in the bottom, then it like scrolls down automatically. You could just click new messages. It's like a little thing. Yeah, we have someone helping, which is really helpful. So yeah, I have three gentlemen on the couch today. As you know, we're going to talk about female hunters and their diverse AI cast. And obviously, something before I'm introducing them, what I wanted to mention for the people on Xbox, we released today 2 content packs, and once we have stealth and we have explosives. So we have actually kind of two, well, opposite things. We have one where you can be really quiet and one where you can be really loud. So we hope that you guys enjoy them and let us know. So let's continue. We have Florian, who we've seen 2 streams ago, I think.
I think it was 2, wasn't it?
2 or 3 streams ago. So yeah, just introduce yourself.
So yeah, I'm the lead character artist. And yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the visual side of the new AI and female hunters.
Yeah, and then we have another Florian.
Yes. So I'm also Flo, and I'm the audio director for that project. So we are Flo and Flo today.
And we have Sandy, and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm Sandy. I'm an AI programmer lead AI programmer on Hunt, and I help with the technical implementations of how we actually bring all the character variations in the game, basically.
Okay, well, I think we should just like head straight in. So we're gonna go to the next. So we have grunt variations. We're gonna start with some grunt variations.
Yes, exactly. So, well, actually, I think we can already just jump to the next picture. Yeah.
Okay. So people might have already spotted the female hunter, female grunts, and the female hunter trailer.
We kind of, yeah, there were a couple of Easter eggs, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're adding a couple of new grunt variations. Female grunts. We kind of figured it would make sense, since we're adding the female hunters, to also have female grunts. Sort of use them as a test case, how we do female characters. We want to reuse some technology, and this was a good test case for us. So these are just some new character variations you'll find, and in the maps generally. The idea is really to just make the game a bit more alive, increase immersion.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of people were very excited for female grunts because they obviously have been upset, and now they're here. So if we go to the next slide, yes. So this was actually shown. I wish I should have added the video, but this was actually shown in our Lost in Delta teaser video, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so you already saw, I think it was the prison grunt that was shown in that one?
I think it was like a very small little hidden, so basically these are what we call themed grunts. Now the idea for these is that we want to make certain areas of the map feel a little bit more alive, feel a little bit more special, and what we want to do is basically add grunts that are really specific to points of interest on a map. In this case, that will be the prisoners and the guards in the prison in Lost in Delta. And yeah, the idea is again just really to make those enemies that we fight over and over again just more interesting.
Yeah.
Give a bit more variety. Yeah.
And that's where Sandy comes in, because obviously we have been wanting to do this earlier, as we already teased them earlier. What are some of the challenges that we faced for getting them in specific areas? I know we have some videos. I don't know if you already want to talk about it a little bit first and then go to the video.
I'm fine with anything. Like the biggest thing is like, so we already have like basically a system, or when we went into early access, to randomize the appearance of the grunt, so it's really cool. But Florian and the character team make a lot of content, and the problem is that like at some point we just have too much content, right? So what we need to do is basically take a step back and say, okay, we need to have a better system in place where we can control, for example, also not only where we'll spawn specific grunts, but also like which maps will actually load these grunts up, because like it always takes memory, it takes model memory, texture memory, and also like the loading times are always a thing that we need to take care of, so we need to make sure we only load up what we explicitly need, basically.
Yeah, so no additional grunts that are normal variations.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We can already check a video if you click next. And then in the middle. No! Yes.
Yes. So now that we've built a system that we can actually control what we're going to spawn basically on the map, like the entire map is built up of like little areas where the designers can specify, okay, what do I want to let spawn in these areas, for example. So if it's the basic settings are just some default grunts, and this is just a mock setup that I made. And here you can see some normal grunts and some female grunts. And then when I go back into the editor, I can now actually say, there's actually some attributes I can set for the environment. For example, the first one I picked, I think, was prison. And if I then jump into game, the system is like, okay, cool, we need to put grunts in there, but they need to look like prisoners or like prison guards, basically. See, so there's a guard, there's a prisoner. Yeah. So we made this whole system data-driven, so the designers can set up anything they want, so they can also add all these tags themselves. For example, the next one I'm going to do is for farmers. And there you have some farmers. So now it's really up to the designers, the level designers, to say, okay, we have places in the maps where we want to sort of thematically dress it up a bit more, and then we can basically control what we're going to spawn there. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I already see a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, it's so cool to have different ones."
Yes.
Simulator, no. But yeah, I don't know if it's still playing the first video. Oh, this is the second
this is
video. Yeah. And what do we see in this video? Is it?
So the next video is not this one, I think. Is it the first one still?
No. No, that's the first.
That's the first one. Yeah.
That's the drums. I mean, it's a different slide, so it's the next slide. Maybe
Yes.
that's.
So the next video I will show you.
No, okay, then this is maybe the next one. Is it? No. Videos. Why?
Oh, maybe not. No.
Let me check. I'm gonna see. If
Otherwise, just explain.
Yes. So in broad strokes,
explain it.
basically. So what we've built now is built basically a system on top of the old system. Yes, exactly.
I don't know.
And here we'll show you a bit.
Hands.
Here we'll show you a bit like how we now do some custom setups. For example, the first one is like we now have the concept of spawn variations. This is sort of like a broad definition of like what does a guy need to look like. And in spawn variations, we can specify like which of the variations of like skin bundles we should use for the specific variation. Well, if you look, we already have like 70 skin bundles, which is pretty cool. And each of the skin bundles actually have like sort of sub variations. Like we can change the upper torso, the lower torso. We can change the heads, hair, and that kind of stuff. It's really cool.
So how many variations do we have at the moment?
Well, we have 70 here, and I see already 6 sub variations, so we can easily have over 5 along there.
A lot.
I think with the additional variations we added now, I think we somewhat doubled the amount of grunts we have in the game.
That's a lot of grunts.
Exactly. Yeah. So here I showed this, for example, this is also completely data driven, so the designers can specify what the variations will be and what they look like, and then we can also specify like some extra sort of meta information that will be injected into the entity so that they can identify what it is. For example, you already see that some of them are tagged male or female or prison, this kind of stuff. They can then use in the logic when the entity spawns to do specific things that you need to do. For example, for females, we want to have a different audio sound, for example. Or if they have a different weapon, we need to maybe specify some damage modifiers, this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know that you're also working on improving some AI. So last week we talked a little about improvements for the improvements for both the grunts.
Maybe you can stop the video like this. This is a setup example of how they should set up.
I mean, we
how
can
they
look
select
at it. It's
basically-
fine.
Yes. So the tags you saw before that we can edit on the areas. We have now sort of a selection procedure as well that says like, okay, I'm going to try to match what the tags you've set in order to figure out like which spawn variations we need to use basically. This is what you see here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, for example, last one, the cool thing is like we can also make more combinations. For example, we can put like specific variations in the same group. For example, we can put males and females in the same group, and then we can control like, well, what's the chance for picking a male or picking a female, for example.
So how likely is it now that we have
Exactly.
Females or male spawning, like
Yes.
50-50?
Currently it's 50-50, but we can set it to anything.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And I think in this example, I also show like how we can, for example, make a new entry here. Yeah, these are the things we have, and I'm going to make a new one. So we can select basically what they're going to look like, and we can also start combining things. For example, we can now specify rules. For example, let's say this is just an imaginary example. I want to have a couple of prison-related characters and a couple of farm-related characters. And then here I'll show you how you basically set that up. So we set like, okay, I need to have 2 matching tags, and then we can specify, okay, I want to have some from the prison variation and some from the farmer variation. And then I can also control the chances of picking the specific ones.
Yeah, and do we have female prison grunts or only male at the moment?
It's just male ones.
Okay, I mean, you know. I mean, bad guys, right?
So if I would jump to the game now, basically I set 2 tags on the area. It will then understand, okay, cool. I need to now do basically a mix of these 2 variations.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Prison guard, there's a prison.
How many prison guards do we have at the moment versus prisoners?
Variation-wise, I think it's like something like 5-to-1 ratio.
Okay, there's still quite a lot of different ones. Yeah.
And the cool thing is, this is coder. I also added some validation in it so that the designers can actually see like, oh, if I put in a tag that's not supported yet, or a specific combination that will actually show like, hey, this is not supported yet. Because like, yeah, we're expecting that we could have quite a large amount of settings basically. Mm-hmm. This is what I show there.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of settings.
Yes.
Especially when I saw all the ones where you can have like with this hair combination and this outfit and this gender and it's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot.
But the cool thing is, it's now completely data driven, so it's up to the level designers and the artists to sort of figure out like, well, what kind of combinations do we start to mix and match basically. And they can just set it up whatever they want, which is pretty cool.
So you just created the system that everyone can then use it.
Yes,
easily.
exactly.
Okay, that's
so we basically set up the variations, and then we basically pass them along to the level guys, and they just populate like the
wherever
tag the areas that they wanna populate, and then it just filters in.
Exactly. So what the system also does, and I haven't shown this, like this is more just database setup basically, but now we can also control how many variations should be selected per map, but also per platform. Because we are, for consoles, for example, we have less memory, so now we can specify, for example, for PC we can pick like say 10 farmer variants, but for console we only do 5 because we just conserve memory, which is pretty cool, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How much different is it then if you have indeed like more variants? Like why does that take more memory if you have just the same amount, like just have lesser on the map, or just the same lesser variant?
Well, every variant basically could have its own set of textures, or even its own set of sounds, its own models, everything. So all of these need to be loaded basically, because otherwise we need to basically be able to render them. So if we can just reduce these, that will just save memory and also save a bit of loading time as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Then to a little bit, because to catch back on the last week's stream, we have also mentioned some of the improvements for the grunts, but also like the hellhounds. And on the Discord, we already have been asking, and on Reddit, I believe as well, for some feedback. We have already gathered quite a lot of stuff, but what are we looking for exactly?
Well, yes, we're very happy that the community can also help us in finding issues and like identifying where the problems are, for example. And what really helps us is recordings, because like, sometimes you read on Reddit like, hey, there was an AI and he suddenly killed me, blah, blah, blah. And okay, we're very sure that it happens. But from the context, it's really hard to understand. Like,
how?
An AI has many different elements and any of them could be broken. Like it could be a real bug in its perception, or maybe something in its behavior. But it can also be something like, there's maybe on the map some physics proxy missing, so we actually can see through wall, or maybe the material dampening factors for sound dampening factors have been set up on a specific wall, so this is why he could hear you through the wall. So for us, this is really hard to see from just text, basically. So what we are always looking for is like videos. Like we find a couple of videos and we look at them, we also laugh at them like, this looks like a really silly bug. But that really helps us to identify what the problems are, because like we can actually then go into the map and look like, hey, what's going on around here, for example. So if anybody wants to send some information or like stuff that's broken, a video is always awesome. Exactly.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So we have audio. That's your department.
Yes. So we, of course, if you have male and female grunts, you obviously want to have a variation of that as well to mimic and reflect that. So in the end, we were pretty happy with the male grunts we got. So we decided to just give it a little bit different timbre. So that's, I think, that's the male attack one. And just hit the female one as comparison, please. Or as another example, it's the death. You might have heard as well, killing all the grunts.
You might have heard it.
Once or twice.
Sounds like me.
And then the same in the female variant.
No!
So as you can hear, it's like they are very similar because we didn't want to change the overall style of the grunts. But we still want to make sure that the females are sounding a bit different, just to increase variation and not having the same soundscape regardless of the gender.
So I actually asked because what are the sounds based off? Because I thought that we had people. I didn't know. Had people make rah sounds and then we'd change that, but apparently it's made out of multiple sounds. Can
yes,
you
yeah, well,
that
would qualify for a whole stream how we did all the monstrous and abominations. But so basically, it's a mix of human parts because, for example, the cuffing I think is pretty obvious that is based on a human recording, but of course we also mix other elements in there, the animal stuff.
So what animals are in grunts?
I don't really know.
You don't know?
No, the thing is
Undefined.
so that's something Christian and Jonas should answer because they are our experts in designing all the creatures. And I don't know, we went through so many different variations and iterations on them to really start with the original voice recording and trying to alter them. In the end, it's more what we find more interesting was not using a human voice and transferring that into the typical zombie because that's everybody knows. So we were more thinking, okay, maybe we use other sounds and transfer it into the human range of shifting frequencies, all that. So yeah, I think it qualifies for another stream where we definitely kind of explain a little more in detail what we used. But in the grunt, definitely, there's all sorts of little animal snippets. So they consist of hundreds of little snippets. They work together to make the grunt noise they do.
So now you hear it. We're gonna have an audio stream at some point.
At some point, yeah.
And I do have to ask. I think a lot of people are asking because you're also one of the people responsible for all the songs that we have in the game. I know a lot of people are like, but I just want to know what the soundtrack is and I want to have it. Can you tell a little bit? Do we do specific why do you do specific soundtracks for the female hunters or?
So yeah, there was one very funny thing. Is so last week when the female teaser was released, we were sitting there we have to do a female humming, and then it got released because we didn't have enough time, and immediately someone said yeah, where's the female humming? Missed opportunity, and we were yeah, we wanted to do this, but we just ran out of time to do it. So I cannot promise when, but we will have a female humming eventually.
Okay.
And of course, there are more songs coming, and who might have listened very carefully to the teasers and stuff, you can already hear the instrumental versions of the upcoming songs, but obviously there will be a vocal on top of that, and and at some point we're going to reveal that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been excited about the songs. I hear this in every video. It's where is this song? Where's this song? I want to listen to it. The Christmas song too. Yeah, we have to make a Christmas female and male version for this year.
I guess so. Yeah, it's piling up. There will be a lot moving towards Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna have the grunts in there. No, let's go to the next slide. So female hunters.
Yes, that is very similar as well, but I think we start with you first, right?
Exactly.
Because you have the pictures.
Some pictures. So female hunters. I think one of the most highly requested features and the thing that I probably see in chat the most when we're asking for questions on topic of those stream that it's not about. So today you can ask, when is it coming? We can tell you that. Sure, go ahead.
Right, so, they're obviously coming with 1.0. And
yeah, and we announced the date as well, 27th of August.
There you go. We had the trailer. I think it was Tuesday we released it.
Yeah, Tuesday.
So you've already seen, what they're looking like. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we made them, how we came up with the design direction, just the process a little bit, but then also show some of the variations we have. Not all of them, just a cross section, but just give you an idea of what we have.
Yeah, we don't want to give away everything yet. And also, I was going to say something and I kind of forgot about it. Oh yeah, that I know a lot of people, or like some people were worried that they wouldn't fit in the game, but so far I've seen quite a lot of compliments come by for people that say that they fit right in, so I'm very happy and you should be proud.
Well, I mean, I think that was really one of the main things. We really wanted to get them to a point where they just fit right in next to the mill hunters, and it's just seamless, and they are part of the world, and everything makes sense.
Exactly. So we see here three tiers.
Exactly. So that's tier 1, tier 2, 3. You have the badass progression, if you will. Yeah, it's the exact same idea as with the mill hunters. We we start off with more noobish outfits. Not exactly super prepared, super experienced, and then we just ramp it up as we go higher in the tiers. Yeah, but let's actually jump into the design process, I guess.
Yeah, so we have a lot of badass women here.
So this was really the starting point, just looking at all kinds of references. This is just a sample, of course. We really wanted to feel them authentic, like of the time, of the era. So we looked at a lot of photographs from back then. We obviously also referenced movies, whatever we found that made sense, and then just focused in on a certain direction that we felt made sense, and then kind of narrowed it in that way. I think these pictures are a fairly good idea of what we were going for. Just badass, hard, rough women that are cool.
It's a badass, non-badass woman you're not now. Yeah, they look very nice. And I was actually reading this article which had like the top 10 gunslingers. I mean, they were all criminals in the end, so I thought gunslinger was in general more like also can be a good kind of cowboy, but I guess that's not really a thing if it's a gunslinger. But they all looked very badass, and like a lot of people seem to have a lot of trouble with these women. So yeah, want to go to the next or?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know if you want to.
Right, so this is then like a first stage of concepting. This is basically a one-to-one mapping of the male hunters over to female characters. Same outfits, same shape language, same everything. They work, but something feels a bit off. Like, I mean, some of the outfits work a little bit better, but something wasn't quite right for these variations. Felt maybe a bit too modern in some ways, a bit too like a costume, maybe. So it was a good starting point, but we figured we would have to refine some things and get a bit of a different flavor in.
And also a bit of a more unique look.
Yeah. So then this was something that kind of brought us on the right track.
Runway hunters.
This, actually was very much like a high fashion, like very loose clothing, very particular fits, very particular, styles of clothing. And I think that was the thing that was kind of missing. Like in the previous picture, the variations kind of felt a bit, they didn't have that historic vibe to them. And we figured, well, okay, if we have clothing that has a bit of a different cut, a little bit more not exactly historically accurate, because, well, pants and whatnot did exist, but, women, it was more rare, right?
Yeah.
But we could obviously cheat and then kind of make up our own thing. And this sort of, let's call it a fashion vibe, was sort of a good idea that we felt really worked out. And then with that, combining these two ideas, we ended up with the final direction, if you will. So these are, again, like we have the tier progression, and I mean the one on the left is still, it's pretty modern clothing, but then you see, okay, we have some other clothing that is, it has a different feel than the very first concepts we did.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit more interesting, I would say.
Yeah, and also like, well, there are, because like obviously you can still see that they're still in a sense like going the same direction, that they still feel unique enough to be their own things.
Yeah. No, we really wanted to make them, make them fit in and be, immediately relatable to the male hunters, but then have a unique shape language, have a unique look to them. Okay, then if you get to the next slide. Yeah, this is just some more variations. But if you go back.
One back. Yeah.
Just like it's about like really the fit of the clothing. We raised the waistline a little bit. Higher pants. Some stuff that is fitting a little bit more loosely. It was really small details, but like combining all these elements kind of gave us a overall look that we figured worked.
Yeah, and how many variations do we have about now?
Right now we're gonna have something like what we originally launched with for the male hunters. So it's not gonna be exactly as many as we have male hunters right now. But in the same ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're right now somewhere in the 40s, I think.
Still quite a lot.
Right, and actually talking of variations, we can just show you some. So
Yeah.
these are then just some tier 1 variations. And what you see is we have blouses, we have hats, really loose fitting pants, stuff that kind of has a bit more of a old timey feel to it. That's what was kind of missing in the very first experiments we did.
Yeah.
Then we have some tier 2 variations. Just the getting
Poncho.
more badass. Much looser fitting. If you go back.
Oh, go back. That's so bad.
Just more loose fitting clothing. Longer stuff. Like for the tier 1s, we generally try to stay away from big coats and ponchos and whatnot. And fancy scarves and all the gear and gadgets they're wearing. That's really starting with the tier 2 ones.
Yeah.
And then for tier 3, just some more variations.
And the left one is
pretty badass.
It's pretty badass. The Bola, yeah. I think she looks really cool.
I think she we have a similar extravagant male hunter as well, with the armor and the mohawk, and he's a bit out there. So we figured let's do a female hunter who's on par. She
looks really, really badass.
That's full sleeve and everything. It's cool. And facial tattoos as well. It's great.
Nice. And what is the inspiration for some of the because the right one is, I feel the middle one is the one that is closest to the male hunter we have, the skin. I mean, you saw it in the trailers, the one you had as well. But for example, the right one is more unique, especially with the tulban. What?
Okay, so it's sort of, we figured that for hats we ran into a bit of an issue because if you take the typical cavalry hat we have in the male hunters, it just it didn't quite feel right. So we experimented with different shapes, and hoods worked really well. And then we also figured, let's do a head wrap, some sniper head cover type thing. That would also just look badass and give us some headgear options.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, in general, for people wondering, the hitboxes are the same. You can shoot them just as well as you can shoot men. All good. So where are we? Do we still have a picture after? I'm not sure.
I think we just have some examples of some of the faces we did.
Yeah, the faces.
So this is just some of the different faces we did for the female hunters. These are all hand sculpted. We didn't use scans for these. And then we have some more. And actually, the one on the right is a bit of a tease for a legendary skin.
Oh, I'm very curious what that will be. I do think they're really, really good. Oh yeah, that's next. But I mean, I would let them look a little bit more about where's the McQuantus female hunter. I'm not getting one. It's fine. I can live without that. I don't want people to kill me often. So yeah, what you see here is the recruitment screen, because obviously you'll be able to recruit them just like you do with male hunters, and they will just be random. So it's about 50-50, so sometimes you can have one more of either gender, but you will be able to recruit one of them at least for sure. And obviously it's still like tier 1, tier 3, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, not twice tier 3. Yeah, it's a teeny tiny teaser for the eye, but you're not going to see much more yet because we are going to keep it a secret. And if you go to the next picture, you'll then also be able, okay, you know, a little preview to toggle it off to see the whole hunter, like to toggle the appearance of the weapons, or like you still have the weapons, but it's just more to see the full model of your hunter. So that's going to be really cool, and they're going to be about 50-50 for when you just recruit a hunter. And yeah, that's I think most of it for now. Then we're going to go to the audio for also the female and the male hunters.
Yes, so similar as we did for the grunts, of course you also need different voices for the female. And as we were thinking about that, we had two rules. Obviously, you know, same as you say, hey, is there a different hitbox? Obviously not. Same applies to vocals, because it's so crucial that you hear if you hit someone. So we're trying to match the volume and the distances, etc. So you don't have an advantage or disadvantage choosing one gender over the other. So obviously the timbre and the sound will be different because it is a female, but we're still trying to match it so you don't have you don't hear it better or worse, one or the other. Yeah, so that's the male you're familiar with.
It is very great to hear it.
And that's
like
a
this.
melee. And while we were recording the females, we obviously had also to record the male ones again, just to match them. And then obviously the death sound is more critical because that's what you're all looking for if you fight another hunter.
Yeah, because
right?
I already heard a lot of people asking in the stream or in the video when it was live, and the time when we went on Discord, like, oh, but what is the death sound? Because that's what really matters. So I thought it would be good to add that in the stream today. Oh, I think that's a female one. I think I mixed those up. I'm sorry. This is a new male death sound.
We are confusing you. So later on, you will be able to choose your voice, whether you're male or... No, I'm kidding. No, but... yeah.
That's
So the idea is, it's a little bit of a teasing, but moving into future things. Currently, we have one male set and one female set. Obviously you're not playing alone usually, so you have a teammate, and we very much like the idea of having more voice sets coming when you recruit a hunter, because I'm not a big fan of the twin brother or twin sister moment when you kind of and then your partner is and then you both forth and back. So there will be more coming, I guess, in the future.
April Fools, they should swap voices. I mean, that would be pretty funny.
But that's a good one. Yeah, we
just as but yeah, no. So more voices indeed are coming, hopefully in the future, which will be nice. So then how many like different ones are we aiming for? But I want to say, because this is something that I personally asked, will the death sound stay the same? Because that's obviously the biggest indicator for gameplay reasons.
So in the end, the old recordings we had throughout the whole time now is based on very old recordings we had. So we were trying to distribute with the set we had to cater for all, you know, bleeding, poison, all the different status effects, and of course movement and pain, death, etc. And we were reusing a lot. So now with the new set, I think it's 600 or 700 assets total. So we just have a lot of more variation. We're trying to cater for every little different style, so bleeding will sound different than poison, etc., without changing the style completely. So we were very closely listening to the old one to kind of keep, for example, the death has this cadence of like right, this like 1, 2, and similar other elements will remain the same. So I know that Dennis was, I don't know how many times we talked about it, but he was like, don't change the death sound. And I was like, yes, we're totally aware of, we won't do this. And then in the end we had to match the female to the original, and then we had to re-record the male to match the female. So it is a little bit of, you know, let's say, it's
back and forth
a little bit. But of course, in the end, the consistency is important, especially if we move into the idea of having more variations. Let's say, you know, like if, let's say 3 male voices or 3 female voices, and then, you know, it makes sense kind of tier 1, 2, 3. Maybe we match them to that. So there's some ideas floating around how we might end up distributing, or just totally random, that you have whenever you, with Sandy's nice system, obviously, if you recruit a hunter, you could also say, oh, if that hunter gets this voice randomly. That's kind of nice.
Would be nice. Yeah. I mean, it would be funny if you can have like a base on tier, and then, but how would a tier 3 hunter like just really like musky or something?
Well, we had the idea of thinking about.
It's smoked a lot.
Yes, exactly. We had the idea of like, okay, if you have a higher tier hunter, maybe the style changes. So let's say a tier 1 is more like ow, and then tier 2 is already like more like ow, and then the tier 3 is really like a grumpy guy. He's more like ow. But of course, then you have trouble because the tier 1 would be more loud, you would hear further away, versus the other one is more biting teeth and like And I still like that idea, but then you have a clear advantage of tier 3, which means as you have random.
I mean, you do
change the game
to play as a tier 3, so it gives another reason to actually get your tier 3. I mean, it would be great if you have like the tier 1 intern, like
exactly. It would fit that intern idea, but in the end, it's a discussion with Dennis to say like, because it then changes the gameplay a fair bit, and that has to be reflected.
Could the tier 1 just scream throughout the entire match in a panic voice?
That would be cool. Oh my god, Bernie, Grunt, help. Well, that would be cool, yeah.
I mean,
another Easter egg coming.
I mean, it would make sense, because then the tier has like a good reason for being like a lower tier, and it's like, I mean, yes, you have a lower tier, but that also makes you more motivated to go for a tier 3, not just to look really cool, but also to sound.
But it's difficult, because then you fight one, and then it's like he's not, doing the same feedback if you hit the guy.
It's true. But still, I think it would be
it's a tricky one. It's a really, people could write bachelor theses about exactly that. Like, is the feedback more important, or is the immersion more important? Is gameplay more important, or is it? It's super cool. Let's see what we end up with.
Yeah. I think that was mainly it for today content. Obviously, we didn't want to show all the female hunters yet and show all the sounds yet, as much as we would want to do that. A, that would be a long ass stream, and B, then we give everything away, which would also be a shame. If you guys have any questions, what do you guys want to know specifically on this topic? And yes, today you can ask female hunters when. Let me see. Test server when? So I can't say when the test server is yet, but what I can say already next week, we're not having a developer live stream, but we're gonna have another how's it called, a broadcaster event, and then the week after is going to be another developer live stream, and some other live streams we also have planned is like, we're going to set that up for audio. We still have the lore stream, so that's all coming, but we're going to do at least 2 streams for 1.0 specific, but they start after next week, so like not next week but the week after. Let me see. But yeah, questions about the skins. Okay, will there be legendary skins for female hunters in 1.0?
Yes.
How many? Can we already give away? I guess that's enough. Let me see. Will the UI update remove? I'm sorry, I did not catch it because it's going really fast. I'm so sorry. Male hives when? I don't think we're gonna have male hives.
No plan for my house right now. No.
And I mean, I think the hive wouldn't be as hivey if it was a male.
It's the bee mom.
Exactly.
The bee mom.
She's the bee mom, and she spreads her children all over. Okay, that sounds really wild.
That would be a bee boy.
A bee boy. Out. Let me see. Yes, we will be giving a warning before the wipe. So what we will do, we go on a test server first, and then we're gonna have the the 27th is when it's gonna happen. Just make sure you do it on before the 27th, and then you're good. So we don't have a B-boy, but we do have BD boy, which is close enough.
Female butcher is also an interesting one, but then we open a box of
And I mean, for the AI, the specific ones they are their unique monsters. So like, if you think about it, like some cannot mutate that way. Maybe it is something biological.
I think it also makes sense from a gameplay perspective to kind of keep it more. You want to keep things readable, I guess. And
Yeah,
if you
also,
now
yeah.
add too much variation, I mean, I think with the grunts, it's that's a free for all. But with the actual AI cast, I think we need to kind of keep it within a certain box just to make sure that gameplay wise everything makes sense and doesn't get confusing.
Exactly. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's some questions related to the stream because a lot of people are adding a lot of questions that are not related. Oh my god. Some questions make me ashamed of you guys.
Female alligators? Nope.
I saw also female water devils.
We might add female ducks to the game.
Female ducks. I'm pretty sure there are already female ducks. I'm just saying.
We'll be at it. Coming up.
Will female hunters wear long skirts?
We were thinking about it, and we are still thinking about it, about adding some variations. Yeah, sure, potentially.
Would that be hard? Is that like more challenging, obviously,
The
because
problem is with claw simulation. Like, we can get away with it on the hive because the hive doesn't move super fast, and it's not it's generally a ranged enemy, but hunters are quite fast, there's a lot of crouching and whatnot, and we already have some issues with just big coats.
Yeah,
so if you now have just a skirt, but we'll definitely, we'll see. I mean, it's an idea we had, and potentially.
Exactly.
How about a female Dennis?
I'm scared. Please no. Let me see. Yeah, we could do a Reddit Q&A in general sometimes because I think we did our lore Q&A a while back on Discord, and we were very upset we didn't do it on Reddit because it was a horrible time to keep track of everything. But we can do some Q&As in the future, maybe specific topics. If people want to know specific things, definitely let us know. I mean, you can let us know on Reddit or Discord which ones you, for example, would really like to see, or on social media. But yeah, why don't hunters have gloves?
Because of the dark side boost. You want to have the nice glow?
Exactly. So you want glow or you want gloves?
Yep.
Both starts with Jeep. Two different things.
And also another issue is like with different variations, if we now have a variation with gloves and without gloves,
Yeah.
if you interact with the weapons, a lot of that is very precise. And now if you have like a big volume change, big bulky gloves, could get a bit iffy.
So, 2 questions. I mean, no hitboxes will be the same, and will there be a selection criteria to recruit male, female hunters separately? No. So, like, as we explained a little bit during the stream, it will be random. So you will have, just as you randomly have the different variations of like hunter skins in general, this will be the same for like male, female. It will be about 50-50, and it will be mixed up. So you'll just like randomly can choose one of the recruits, and if you don't like the recruits that you see, you can just refresh. Like with the same outfits or with different like hunter like weapons that they have.
There was one question about the legendary hunters will have special voice packs. At the moment, this is not planned, simply for the reason it is. Well, it's more of a technical thing. We have to provide a whole set then for just that particular hunter or huntress, and everybody needs that pack. So it's a lot of memory reusing for, let's say, a very rare case that you actually encounter it. And so I'd rather have this like a more generic set and more variations to begin with for everyone, rather than tie that to a specific huntress.
And it might also run into the same issue as with like AI variations, where then it gets confusing if you have like, now we have like different hunter sounds, and you can't actually, associate that with, that's a hunter.
Well, or you get this back as bug, basically saying like, hey, this one sounded different, or this one didn't make the expected pain sound or something, and then
exactly. I saw someone, do female hunters have different hands in first person perspective? Yes, they do. I think it was also in the trailer that we showed yesterday. If you watch that, you can see that the hands are different. They're like slimmer, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually quite tricky because we have so many guns and stuff established already that it wouldn't have been practical to just redo a complete animation set from scratch. So we needed to be able to, build on top of what we have. And so we needed to have hands that match between male and female. But obviously the male hunters have like these big frying pan hands.
Frying pan.
So yeah, it was a bit interesting to kind of get that to work properly and make sure we get a good result.
Yeah, and then I also saw, which is actually an interesting question, how can it be that the hitboxes are the same when the shoulders and everything are wider for men and like the women have more curves?
The hitboxes are actually completely separate from the actual model that you see in the game. The hitboxes are just like something that is hidden. These are literally just very simple, literally boxes or like cylinders that are attached to the limbs and to the body that will then run all the game mechanics. The model, the actual thing that you see in the game, has nothing to do with that.
Let me see. Hunters can hear other hunts from so far away. No real sound blanket, like the foliage does not affect the sound. I don't know if I understand the question.
What?
That I lost. That you can hear other hunters from far away, but we do actually have the dampening and everything in the game and the distance.
Yeah, sure. So, is it related to the gender? So the movement sounds won't change based on the gender.
Yeah,
so we will keep that the same. We might experiment a little bit with pitch, but again, like we want to keep it consistent and not giving anyone an advantage or disadvantage based on the gender. So that means movement, all that stuff has to stay the same.
Yeah, and they are also the same height, right? I'm pretty sure that they're actually the same height.
Right. Same metric, basically.
Yeah. So you might hit a female hunter even if you actually miss the shot visually.
Yes, I guess that could happen in some cases. Like if you really hit on the edge of the arm. That being said, I think there might be some cases. It would be just a pixel or so. Like it wouldn't be like a massive difference. They're reasonably close.
And I mean, obviously, the male also have like sometimes the cloak to help as well with also the females and the male.
Yeah, I mean, it would really be mostly that would happen only if you have like a female hunter with really like tight-fitting clothing. But actually, I mean, the inverse can happen as well if you have a dude with like a really big bulky coat, right? You visually you're on, but actually you just shot through the clothing. Well, you didn't shoot through the clothing, but you didn't hit the hitbox because that is a little bit smaller, maybe.
Does it take the hitbox of a naked body or like with the clothes on? I mean.
So basically, the hitboxes are not even like they are just like generic human form, right? It's very.
Yeah, I know, but like, do they follow? Because obviously, like, if you follow a hitbox, from someone who has a lot of clothing, obviously it appears bigger. So I'm not sure if this is just.
I mean, I think they're in general a little bit bigger, just to compensate a little bit. I think, like things are ever so slightly, oversized, but you'd actually have to talk with the designers and the system guys to really get the specifics on that, because obviously that has huge gameplay impact, and that is stuff that is being tweaked. I think that just the size of the hitbox, at least in the early days, I think that had a couple of changes.
I saw two interesting ones. One was like, will there be AI taunting at you when they can't reach you?
Yes.
And we can answer that. You can answer that, I guess.
Yes, we're doing sort of a polishing phase on all the AI cuts, basically, and this was one of the things that really stood out. Like, they look a bit stupid if they just stand there and look at you. So we've done a pass that they start taunting, and also like if you're still close enough, they still try to claw at you and try to do damage. That will really sort of give it a bit more oomph, basically.
Yeah, and
we did it for the old AI cast. We have just done a huge polishing task, basically.
And they shout at you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, what do they shout?
They shout, "Come here! I want to hug you and have a friend." Just in zombie language.
Okay.
And the other question was like, are you planning on getting the flash bomb a prime sound? Yes, we do.
Okay, interesting. Let me see. Then maybe we could do one more question, and then the spider. I think we talked about this. He is male, actually, right? Even though I still think it's a female.
I consider it female.
I think lore-wise, she's female.
But the model was used with.
Yeah, when I built the spider, I was kind of thinking as a dude. So
You thought it was a dude, but she was female. I mean, we all know she's female. I mean, I think everyone has been always calling the spider a she.
it kind of makes sense as well, I guess.
Okay, so one last question. Let me see. Having cute little puppy hounds now.
Why is there no hellhound in a barn?
In a barn.
Yes.
Well, the hellhounds were originally designed as sort of like creatures that are best in open spaces, basically, because they need to run and they're really fast. So we actively try to keep them out of like sort of small rooms because it just doesn't work so well, and also to build proper tech for it is not so easy. So this is why they're also, you will find them mostly like on roads or in open fields, and this is where they really work best. And also like these creatures are pretty scary and pretty lethal, right? So you need to have actually some sight to them that you can actually decide like, well, do I engage or run away?
Oh,
and if you would just find one in a room, you would be screwed. So.
And they do the cool dodging stuff as well.
Exactly.
And then they would probably clip through walls and stuff.
Yes,
Would
that's a
look
harder
weird
problem.
and sound weird as well.
Yeah. And also they're sort of like they're designed to work in a pack. So all these cool rules that we built for open spaces would sort of fall apart in like little small corridors. So ideally we don't want to have them there, basically.
So sorry.
Yeah.
No adoption of a dog.
I mean they will function, but it's not ideal.
Yeah. The millhounds are an advantage by death sound. No, they are not. We actually made sure, or he made sure, specifically that the sounds will be the same, like different, like height or like.
Well, they will be different, but of course by default the frequencies are different. So yes, the female voice has more frequencies which cut through better. But that's why we're playing around with delay, etc. So if you shoot, it's not very obvious that they have an advantage or disadvantage. We will tweak volume, etc. to make it as even as possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's always going to be.
So because we really want to avoid that people choose one over the other just to have a gameplay advantage. Yes, but of course, that's the matter of the nature. We won't probably not get it to 100% same. It will be 99 something.
Okay.
And if you then think like, no, I'm never going to choose a female character because I might have that disadvantage, or vice versa, then hey, yes.
You'd have to let us know so we can, tweak it a little bit more.
Well, or you just stick to one gender. Why not? It's like, that's why you can recruit either or.
Yeah,
right?
you can always recruit either one. There was one actually question, and then that's the last one that we're going to answer. Someone asked, are we going to get a dynamic, like, as we have the dynamic dirt system that's coming 1.0, is there a way that we can do that for clothing as well, or do we not plan it? I mean, I don't think we are for sure, but...
It's a problem. I mean, we were thinking about this initially. The problem is it gets a bit tight visually in terms of the range we have, because we're already like, we want to go from like, oh, this is a tier 100 and this is a tier 300, right? Just have that progression in there. Now if we start, adding damage and dirt and just, wear and tear to them as they progress through a mission, I think it will have less visual meat to work with, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? We'll have less options when we're creating variations.
And also when we're going to eventually add customization, it is also going to be... I mean, it would be weird if then the nice hat that you would have would change, for example.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I think that is not a planned feature for now, so...
Exactly. Okay, then we want to thank everyone for watching right now. At the moment, I see a lot of people say reconnect button. Unfortunately, we don't have that planned right now. But I do want to say that we are actually investigating the issues with the EU servers, where people have issues with the connection and some people still experience rubber banding. If you have this, let us know. We are going to compensate the people, and please reach out to our customer support at showdown.kayako.com. The message is also posted on our social media, on Steam and on our Discord. And if you can do that, it will really, really help us. So unfortunately, no reconnect button, even though I know it would be great. And yeah, that was it. Thank you for, pretty much everything for the stream. Thank you, Sandy, Florian, and Florian. 2 flows, double flows, twin brothers.
Thank you.
And yeah, we hope to see you guys next week then for the broadcast event. The people that are going to join is still going to be announced because we're still gathering people. And then the week after, we're going to talk about other stuff like UI. You haven't heard it from me. And it was that. So we see you guys next time. I'm just going to close off the stream. Bye!
See you guys.
Cheers.
See you guys. Oh.